Hey, welcome to the shop. Are there people in your life who think you don't need another motorcycle? Maybe a project bike? In this video, I'll explain how you can convince these naysayers why getting that bike is the right thing to do. You might think by looking around here that I have a motorcycle problem. In reality, these bikes aren't all mine, so nobody needs to stage an intervention. But if I had more room... Speaking of garage space, what you're looking at here is actually a carefully controlled scientific experiment. You see, I have a hypothesis that the number of motorcycles a person owns will increase until they fill their available space. It's like how a pet turtle will grow if you put it in a bigger tank. And we all know that nature abhors a vacuum, especially in a garage. So in this experiment, I've been clearing out space in my shop, and then waiting to see how nature chooses to fill it. If my assumptions hold true, I'll end up with another motorcycle after I sell this blasting cabinet. You can learn how it all worked out when I publish the paper. I came up with this hypothesis to build on the well-known natural law of motorcycle acquisition. Like the alphabet, we should all have that etched onto our gray matter, but just in case someone out there doesn't know it, it goes like this. Say it with me, class. N equals M plus 1, where N is the number of motorcycles I need, and M is the number of motorcycles I have. Thank you, class.
Yeah, whatever.
I'm sorry, sir. This is a Wendy's.
Now, because nature dictates that a motorcyclist always needs more motorcycles, it's only logical that the number of bikes she or he owns will grow until the habitat can no longer support the motorcycle population. And if there are too many, the herd will be naturally thinned to balance out the ecosystem. I've observed this in my experiments. If nature could just be allowed to take its course, all our garages would be full of motorcycles and all would be good. But there's a problem. You see, you and I understand this law of nature because we appreciate motorcycles. But unfortunately for us, not everyone believes the science. Research indicates that some people neither own nor like motorcycles. Heck, there might be someone in your neighborhood, maybe even in your family, who harbors a prejudice against the much maligned, great unwashed masses of two-wheelers. As friends of nature, and for the sake of all bikes in desperate need of a good home, we motorcyclists must take up the challenge of helping these naysayers see the truth. As a longtime practitioner of the science of motorcycle acquisition, I've studied the data. So I thought I'd offer a few points that you can use to make the case that, to be at one with nature, you must use the extra space in your garage. So if you watch this video to the end, you'll have these points at the ready when someone dreams up the crazy notion that you don't need another bike. You can start by invoking Dan Aykroyd, who said, quote, "You do not need a therapist if you own a motorcycle. Any kind of motorcycle." Unquote. And I can vouch for that. I have 3 motorcycles now, and I don't need 3 therapists. Nobody needs to take my word for it. But Dan Aykroyd's a ghostbuster. Who else you gonna call? There's no harm in mentioning that you could always play more golf instead of biking. Having motorcycles involves maintenance, fixing, and modding, so it keeps us more busy in the home shop instead of spending our Saturdays searching for the balls we sliced into the woods. I used to play golf, but my motorcycle count fell well below par, so I did the sensible thing and gave up golf. When faced with the decision of buying a project bike or a golf course membership, the bike comes with a commitment to be around the house more, while the golf course membership is a prepaid pass to be out the door for a day every weekend. Be sure to mention how much you love the beer they sell on the course for $12 a can. Think of the money you might spend, all just to preserve that empty spot in the garage. Talking about money, collecting, fixing, and selling motorcycles can generate a profit. Last year I bought, fixed up, and sold 2 bikes. I doubled my money on one of those and tripled my money on the other. I also restored a classic bike several years ago and sold it to pay a good share of the cost for a Honda Goldwing. I cover those stories in other videos you can watch here on the channel. There's no harm in finding a way to help nature while also bringing in a little shinola. Of course, the risk in flipping bikes is that you can get attached to them. If you do, you'll eventually run out of space. Then, according to my hypothesis, nature will no longer provide. A bike project is an ideal way to spend quality time with your kids. You can pass along a few life skills by teaching them how to ride and maintain motorcycles, while instilling in them a respect for nature, so they too will have garages full of motorcycles someday. Plus, bikes can keep kids busy when they need to be kept busy. I mean, your teenage daughter could spend her spare time riding and wrenching on her dirt bike, or she could hang out with that goth kid who just moved in down the street. I'm sure he's nice, although he never comes out of the house in the daylight. And if your son would rather spend his spare time vaporizing virtual villains, you can get him active by putting him on a bike. Just tell him the graphics are almost as good as the game. No matter how skeptical about the laws of nature someone might be, you can always try appealing to their compassionate side. The sad truth is that good motorcycles are dying everywhere, just because they aren't being used, maintained, or stored properly. If you have the space, you have the moral obligation to take in one or more neglected bikes. How could anyone look away from an affordable bike that's doomed to die a slow death, outdoors, uncovered, neglected, condemned, forgotten? You just might be its last hope. Does anyone really want that on their conscience, keeping them awake in their warm bed next winter? Condemned, forgotten. If all else fails, you'll have to play your best card. You can ask your skeptic if they've ever actually even ridden a motorcycle. Chances are they haven't, or if they have, they had a bad experience that could have been avoided. So, offer to take them for a ride so they can feel the wind in their hair and the bugs in their teeth. Show them that riding sensibly and safely is more fun than you can put on a bun. Because if you don't ride safely, you shouldn't have a bike anyway. Nature also has laws to deal with that. No doubt many of you have lots of other tips that have worked for you, so please feel free to share them in the comments. You know, for the benefit of nature. Hey, since you stuck around this long, you might like some of our other motorcycle content. You can find it all in this playlist. But more importantly, please subscribe. It would mean a lot to the channel, and besides, where else are you going to see motorcycles dance? Thanks for watching.